maximum firepower. Brace for impact.
All right. Welcome to the Brace for Impact podcast. Thank you for coming back and listening again. If you enjoy the podcast, feel free to leave a comment, talk to us about what we've been talking about, what your thoughts are on, what are your opinions on the topic that we've brought up. And if you really enjoy, our battle reports, our podcasts, consider going to the Patreon, joining the Patreon a little bit. 'Cause I got new editing software that should make it easier to do all of these editing these videos and battle reports, but it is kind of expensive. So if you want to help out, join the Patreon, and then you'll get all of the episodes as soon as they're done being edited, instead of sometimes I wait a little bit before releasing it. But today we're talking about the final update to Armada, the final official AMG update to Armada, and we're going to be covering Galactic Empire and Rebel Alliance. Some of the changes to a lot of some of the older, upgrade cards, the commanders, the titles, and a lot of the changes that they've done to the ships, which, like we were saying in the last episode, a lot of these changes are pretty good. So we're just going to run through them, maybe kind of think about why these were changed and whether or not it's a good thing or maybe a bit too much. So we're going to start with Galactic Empire. We've got two changes to two commanders, Admiral Screed and Darth Vader. These ones are pretty simple. Admiral Screed, once per activation, when a friendly ship is attacking, it may spend one die to change a die to a face with a crit icon. Used to be 26 points, now 24.
I really like the idea of Admiral Screed, but it always feels like in practice it's so hard to make those crits stick, especially since you want the black dice crits. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best.
I mean, I can see him in lists with onagers with like the red beam or the blue beam where you want to get like additional crits. But
Mhm.
with all the changes to evade, like Admiral Screed is like a wave 1 commander. So, it was priced because you couldn't evade at close range. It just wasn't something you could do. Evades were turned off at close range. So he was kind of the black die commander. You get in close, and then you spend one of your blank reds or blank or an accuracy, and you get the hit crit, and then your APT goes off. So bringing it down by 2 points is nice because it's in a different reality than it was like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. But like only 2 points, I could see Screed being a 20-point commander with all of the things that it needs to deal with now.
Yeah.
Screed could be 20 points, and you still probably wouldn't take him.
I would take him for 20 points just because there are so few 20-point commanders.
Maybe. But the problem with Screed is just his ability. If there are so many things for rerolls, canceling, that he just doesn't matter anymore, especially when you're giving away a dice to set it. So if I've only got, I'm a gladiator, I've got 4 black dice, I'm giving away a black dice, and then you're going to have me re-roll. So even if I lose my crit, I'm still not even putting a lot of damage into you. It's hard to justify him anymore. The game has just kind of passed him by.
And I mean, I think that's why you can probably justify putting him at like 20 points, maybe 22 points. Because, I mean, the only 20-point commander is Ozzel. And Ozzel is one of the best Imperial commanders for sure. So
yeah,
even
I mean,
if
you have competition.
Yeah, you still have competition at 20 points. So, but again, it's not trying to be such a drastic change, but I think you can reduce them even more and it's fine.
You probably could, but it's good that when they did these points rebalances that they didn't go too wild with some of the cards.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, again, kind of to your point, Bernie, it feels like the card needs a little bit of rework, really, to get Screed back in a good spot. But that was not the way this update was intended to be, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good change. I like it. Probably could have been more, but it's Screed. You rarely see him, but I mean, a couple points change. It's fine. Let's move on to Vader. So while a friendly ship is attacking, it may spend 1 defense token to reroll any number of dice in its attack pool, from 36 to 34.
Yeah, so this is one where I actually really like Vader as a commander. His ability is really good, but he's always been really expensive.
Yeah. He's
Like-
been just too expensive, especially for what his ability is. Especially because a lot of the more expensive commanders, one of the things they all share is they don't really have a cost to use their ability. That's why they're so expensive. You don't have to spend something to get their ability off. But Vader isn't like that. You have to spend your defense token each time you want to use his ability. And when you are at 36 points, you don't have room for a lot of anything else.
I will say that some of the other things that happened, specifically Arctons coming down in cost, we would specifically cover it here, but that also kind of helps a little bit with this as well. But then you're looking at it as like from a whole list building perspective and not just the commander.
Yeah, because that when you mention that, it does kind of work together because Vader has been extremely popular. Once the Architons have come out, I mean, you bring like 5 Architons with Vader, and you've got a pretty solid list. So when your Architons comes down by 2 points, and you got 5 of them, like that's 10 points freed up. Now with Vader coming down, you have 12 additional points to play with your list, and that can be a lot, especially now the command cruiser down by 4. So if you bring a command cruiser and then the rest light cruisers with Vader, you have a lot more opportunity to add additional upgrades, additional officers. Maybe you can bring in a small fighter screen when you weren't able to before. So I like that this is not as drastic a change, even in comparison to Screed, because it's both like 2 points adjustment. But if you change Vader by any more, I think it would be too much with those kinds of lists.
I think it's good that they just said, we'll decrease it 2 points, and then, hey, if the community sees that Vader still isn't getting play, they can always bring it down a little bit more.
I think there's a lot of space for Vader now. Even though it's just a 2-point change, with all of the other changes across the board, I think there's a lot of space for him to see really, really strong showings in a lot of fleets.
Yeah.
The interesting thing too is playing in different tournaments and online and stuff. Recently, been seeing a lot less squadrons.
Oh yeah,
which Vader's nicer in fleets that are very ship heavy.
that's true. Yeah, because he doesn't interact with squadrons. But I think one of the most significant competitors with Darth Vader is Darth Vader.
The Vader problem.
The Vader problem. There's no card that competes with itself more than Darth Vader. Officer Vader, Commander Vader, Boarding Team Vader, Vader Squadron. Vader has 2 squadrons. I mean, lots of people are bringing the Defender now because it's completely yoked. But that's something you have to consider. What kind of Vader do you want to bring in your fleet? And I think now Commander Vader is at least able to compete with himself now.
Yeah, not just because of his 2-point reduction, but because his officer is now 3 points more. So
Yeah.
Vader blew up, got the Death Star blew up, Palpatine demoted him, and then his officer just was still too good. He's too good a guy, and now he needs to get hit with a Nerf bat.
Well, I think that's one of the problems that Commander Vader was experiencing is that Officer Vader did something so similar to Commander Vader, and at one point, it was difficult to justify bringing Commander Vader when Officer Vader is able to do the same thing by just choking out some shit officer you don't need to use anymore. or if you've already used their ability on this attack, to get that same ability. And then you have a whole commander free. You use the commander, you choke out some officer with Vader, and then get Commander Vader's ability on that activation, on that attack. And so it was hard to justify bringing Commander Vader at all, because honestly, when you have Commander Vader, there aren't that many opportunities where you actually need to use his ability. 3 or 4 times, maybe. And if you have Vader Officer, you could just not consider bringing Vader Commander. You just choke out a skilled first officer, and it's 2 points to do that. And then you get a whole additional commander in your fleet.
Which actually, I guess we already skipped right into Officer Vader.
We did. It's a nice, easy transition. Officer Vader used to be 1 point, now 4 points. This is a great change because, like I was saying, this is essentially not a single use version of Commander Vader, but depending on how many disposable officers you have in your fleet, you can use this 3 or 4 times in a game. And that's bringing you close to how many uses you would get out of Commander Vader. And at one point, it was auto include in a lot of fleets that you haven't had to consider bringing a lot of dice control upgrades. You could go high into variance. And when I mean high into variance, I mean bringing upgrades like enhanced armament, like high capacity ion turbines, things that don't bring dice control to your fleet. You could consider doing that because you just had to spend 1 point here, 3 points here for an officer. You may not really need to use his ability. You just brought them because Vader's going to choke them out, or you do the intel officer activation where you tap intel officer and then you choke it out, get the reroll, and you still get intel officer's effect. Now it's 4 points, which I think is a good change because it was just too easy to fit in a fleet. Now at 4 points, you might need to consider bringing additional dice control to your fleet.
Another thing with that is that's not the only points increase for Imperial tech that would be in those kind of fleets that just had the 1 point Vader. So, you gotta find points somewhere. When just like, do you really want to hold on to Officer Vader? Do you really need those PDICs? Oh man, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So I like changes that alter your decision making when you're fleet building. Because Vader's ability is still really good. Commanders that exhaust or you might not need to use their ability anymore in the game. It's just clear that discarding them and getting reroll any number of dice in its attack pool is just amazing.
It is. I've been on the receiving end of round 6. My opponent just like choking out all their freaking officers to take these shots that wouldn't have been enough to take out my flagship into just like, oh well, now it's a good dice pool, and this one also got a good shot, and that one. It's just Vader's just choking everyone out. I was like, okay, I guess that's it.
Yes, especially with those like really critical rounds. I mean, round 3, round 6, like you said, where you're obviously not going to use any of these officers again, and you just choke out, and get a really like cataclysmic turn. Vader at 4 points, I think, is more in line with how much it should be costing for how useful its ability is. But yeah, let's go on to Governor Price. I fucking did not like this card when it came out.
So Price has had a rough history. She's already been banned, and now she's getting modified again. Honestly, 2 ships are the reason for this. The Onager and the SSD. The Onager got less troublesome when everything got reworked for that.
Yeah, which I think is really good because double Onager was just such a ridiculous fleet to go against. And now it's if you can still bring double onager, don't get me wrong, but you're spending like 40 more points than you used to, and so now you're not able to bring double onager and like a pretty strong fighter screen, which I think is what put double onager over the edge because of how much they were able to just cram in their fleet. Now you kind of have just less, which makes double onager easier to deal with. Because double onager, man, fuck that. If you're bringing double onager like every fucking time you go out to your local scene, maybe reconsider what you're doing.
Friends don't let friends play double onager.
I know, right? But Governor Price, once per activation, while attacking a ship, you may spend 1 shield from the attacking hull zone to change 1 die to any face without an accuracy icon. Used to be 7 points, now 6, with the additional can't do accuracies. Because forcing an accuracy with just 1 shield not only is really fucking good, especially for flotilla hate, which is obnoxious. You just get to set it, spend 1 shield, completely destroy an activation. Absolutely brutal. But your opponent almost is not able to prevent you from doing this at all. I mean, if you're good at planning ahead and banking an engineering token, it doesn't matter if you have no shields. You spend the engineering token on your activation, put a shield that you need Governor Price to go off, and you get it every time. And your opponent can't really deal with that, which is one of the things that I really upgrades that your opponent can't kind of decide or make a decision to turn it off or maybe mitigate your effectiveness. Those are really the problem cards in my mind.
Right, and this kind of, Bernie, I don't know if you had to mention it, but it goes back to your point earlier about what specifically was driving the problem with especially the accuracy generation. And you mentioned those 2 ships.
Yeah, the SSD can get a ton of accuracies just through, what is it, QTC?
Yeah, QTC, I think, was the real reason why this change is so valuable. Because you think, not even on an SSD, let's just say an ISD2, price QTC, which is quad turbo laser cannons, just so you don't have to fucking pull up the card while you're listening. It's while attacking, if at least 1 red dice face has an accuracy icon, add 1 red die set to the accuracy icon to your attack pool. So you're rolling 4 red dice, 4 blue dice. On average, you're going to get an accuracy in that dice pool. If you whiff, you're below the average. 8 dice, 4 of them blue. You're going to get 1 accuracy, is my point. In Governor Price's previous iteration, all you had to do is spend 1 shield, set 1 of your blank reds to an accuracy, then you get an additional accuracy. Now you have 3 on 1 shot, front shot obviously, of the ISD2. That completely turns off most defense tokens for most ships. Even the ISD2. Brace, redirect, contain. I mean, at that point, if you're defending, you only have the contain to defend. You have nothing else.
Yeah.
And to spend that's a 16-point combo with 1 shield spent to do that. To change your attack, like alter your attack to have 3 accuracies, spend 1 shield and 16 points. It's completely overtuned.
So most of us can say, yeah, for smalls, this was going to swap them out of the sky. And to be fair, an SSD is going to swap most smalls out of the sky. When I really saw this be overpowered is I wound up putting an SSD against a Recusant and then did 3 accuracies and something like 14 damage or so, and there was nothing the person could do, and in 1 shot, the Recusant is off the board.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so oppressive on huge ships like the SSD, the ISD2, but also, man, dealing with price on any platform is hard. Especially like I went up against one of our local guys. He had a Gladiator 2 with price. And the Gladiator 2, it's got 2 reds on the front and 1 red on the side. With Demolisher, it was a nightmare to deal with. You weren't safe. Any of your small ships, any of your flotillas, it would just come out of the woodwork and just completely obliterate it because it could guarantee the accuracy on its attack. Any front shot, any side shot, it had the accuracy. It was a nightmare. You can't do anything. It attacks after it moves, sets an accuracy on the red, and you're taking hit, crit, and a hit. A 5 damage, no scatter on a flotilla, it immediately is destroyed. Because even if you evade that one of those hit crits, you're still taking 3 damage with crit. It's absolutely brutal. So I'm glad they changed it because fuck price in every scenario. Price is a bitch.
Okay.
I will say one thing that is good is I heard ideas that it could also have price could have been restricted to not even be able to set doubles, and that would have probably been too much.
I think that would have been too much, yeah.
Because it's like a crappy intensify. Then
yeah, it's just a shit intensify, and if you're setting one die to any face without an accuracy icon, you can get a hit crit, you can get a double red, but in this current state of Armada, evades are king. Like, so many ships have access to evades that setting a red die to a double hit is not that scary.
Yeah.
It's fine. You're spending 1 shield to do it, and she's got 1 point less. 7 to 6 because of her change. I think that's fine. And it lets you kind of have to pick when you're using her instead of just on every shot. I know it's like once per activation, but every shot per activation, I mean. Because you would just use price every time. It doesn't matter.
Well, you're still going to see a lot of her, and you're still going to see with the Empire a lot of rerolls still on top of it. You still have Krennic. You can still do Veterans Gunners. You can still do a lot of rerolling and then use her to set whatever your blank is or whatever your bad dice is. You're still going to see a lot of her. She's just now not going to generate as much accuracy. Unfortunately for the Glad 2, that's the one that's like, oh, you took away my nice toy and it wasn't even that big a deal. But sorry, Glad 2, you lose this one because your bigger brother has ruined it for everyone.
Yes. I think it was her combo potential that really warranted this change. If maybe her timing window was different, where she wasn't able to interact with quad turbo laser cannons, she wouldn't be that bad. But that's just the way it is. It was just too much. You could get too much out of a 16-point combo just spending 1 shield.
So I gotta make a side tangent here just for a moment because I'm looking at this list and did Commander Palpatine not change in price?
Nope, and it's a travesty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commander Palpatine didn't get touched at all, I don't think. Yeah, 35.
Okay.
I don't think it's that crazy.
So this is the good thing about a balance point change is don't change too many cards, let it settle for a while, and then go and do your next update. Because if you try too much, you have no idea how that's going to kick things off of balance. So I'm fine with it. Maybe if the community takes over and does a points rebalance in the future, maybe a year from now, maybe he'll get onto that list and get a little bit of reduction, but it's
just
okay.
a little bit. Because he's just such a weird commander that I feel like if he's changed too much, then he becomes an absolutely oppressive commander. But his ability, you're not forcing the opponent to do anything. They still get a choice. And I feel like most of the upgrade cards where your opponent gets to choose how effective it is aren't very good to begin with.
Yeah, it is weird because it does still put pressure on your opponent. You're not forcing them to do anything, but I mean, if you have to burn out your defense tokens, that's because you're taking a big shot and it's no brace this turn. I mean, that's still painful, but you're paying for it.
And I think that's perfect thematically for Palpatine, where he is not forcing you to do anything. His ability doesn't make you make decisions. All he's doing is applying pressure mentally to your opponent. And I think that's fine, but I don't know if it's worth 35 points. Maybe 32, maybe 30.
And the point where he starts to become oppressive, where you start throwing Intel Officer and a bunch of other tech and go, okay, if you spend any tokens, they're gone. You still have to dump a ton of points into it, so
yeah, it's
you can
really
justify a reduction for him easily.
Yeah. Moving on to ships. We've got the Architon's Command Cruiser. 59 to 55. Amazing. I love the Architon's Command Cruiser. It's one of my favorite small ships for the Empire because of how efficient it can be when you pair it with upgrades like Commander Beck, Engine Techs, and TRC. Like, what an incredible little ship. You get to change your speed by 1 every round, and you get a free reroll every round with Commander Beck. Incredible. So efficient. What it wasn't efficient on is how fucking expensive it was. 59 points is a lot for an Arctons. Like you're creeping up on medium based ships at that point.
So I think what this comes down to is looking at some of the other point efficient smalls like the Pelta and seeing them and going, okay, for its point cost, is the Architons really balanced to those ships? No, not really. So let's reduce it. Let's try and, not that it wasn't seeing play, but let's try to make it a little more balanced with the other smalls that some of the other factions have.
Yeah, especially when you have to compete with yourself, with which the Architons had to do. Bringing it down really helps. And also, like, the Architons Command Cruiser does do a lot more than the Light Cruiser. It's got an additional squadron. So now, if you're able to sneak in a command cruiser into your fleet, having a pocket carrier like that, like you put, I mean, it's a 2-command ship. You just sneak a squad command on there, and now it can push 3 squadrons in its activation. That's an interesting way to plan an interesting strategy with your fleet. You've got your Architons Command Cruiser that's slooping around, it's TRCing every round. You sneak like 3 really deadly squadrons over there, and then on 1 activation you push them in, and you have this really powerful turn. I think bringing it down 4 points is really good. It's gonna open up a lot of strategies for the Architons
So
Command Cruiser.
I wish they flipped the points between the two options. I wish the light would have had the bigger drop and the command had the smaller drop, because the command can interact with some things and it could become a problem. You can get flight coordination with Morello, and now that's a little cheaper to do. You have Centaur, which is essentially old relay, and now that could come back into play. But I just am like, the command, there are some bad things that can come with the command. So I just...
Yeah.
Engine Techs.
Engine Techs is the crazy. It's the sleeper hit. It's Engine Techs, Beck, and TRC. Like that. If you haven't played with an Architons that has just Commander Beck, Engine Techs, and TRC, you're missing out. It's such an amazing platform.
Darn it, you're gonna make me want to play Imperials now because I haven't done that combo yet, and I know it's good.
It's so good. Change your speed by 1 each round, plus Engine Techs. Get a free reroll. You're rolling 3 to 4 reds out your side every round. You don't get that many blanks. And on the occasion you get 2 blanks in your pool, reroll 1, TRC the other. It's so efficient for 73 points. Man, it's going to be really good. But I don't really agree with you, Bernie, that swapping the scale of the points change is good, because the light cruiser is one of the most popular ships for Empire. It's so good. Bring it, TRC, done. 60 points now. That's hard to beat. And I don't think bringing it down more is gonna be that. It's just gonna escalate the problem.
True. I just worry that because the command cruiser has a little bit more versatility, that maybe that one should have been a little bit more cautious. But
Yeah, I think
I could see
I
your
wouldn't
point.
have done 4 points. 4 points is extreme, in my opinion, because that completely covers Beck, and you could just bring Beck on a command cruiser flat, 58 points. That's cheaper than the light cruiser with TRC, and you still have to change your speed by 1 every activation and get a free reroll. While not as consistent as TRC, now it's 1 point cheaper. So I I kind of am coming around to your point that the command cruiser might have been reduced a bit too much.
But they didn't go too crazy, which is the good thing.
They didn't go too crazy, but I love the command cruiser and what it does. So that change, Rickerton's pretty great. Like we mentioned, because we obviously have to compare each platform to itself. The light cruiser got brought down by 2 points. I don't know how necessary this was. It's already the most popular Empire small ship, even compared to Demo and Gazantes. Like you'll put an Architans into your fleet before you add a Gazanti into it.
Again, it mostly seems to really be nice for when you're bringing a fleet that's stacking multiple Architans like cruisers. It's just a little easier to make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, spamming light cruisers is so easy. You just do fucking 3, 4, 5. How many Architans are you able to acquire? That's how many you want to put in your fleet. And now that it's
Yeah, but
down by
then you
2,
get some
you can at
upgrades.
least add some more upgrades instead of just 6 Architans with TRC and a commander. You know, which I guess is nice, but that's
Yeah, it's strange because again, if you start stacking a bunch of these, then you have to fly them, which can get kind of tricky with their nav chart
yeah.
and a bunch of things that kind of want to like stick together, sort of in like a maybe like a conga line or something. Gets to be a real pain.
I don't know. 6 Architans, all with TRC and Thrawn as the commander, is 386 points now. And that means you can nav and con fire pretty much most of the game.
Yeah,
And
true.
that's difficult to deal with. You can skilled first officer on each one of them. I mean, let me see. Can you bring command cruiser, Beck, engine techs, TRC. So command cruiser with Beck, engine techs, and TRC, and then 5 Architans light cruisers, all with TRC and Grand Admiral Thrawn commander, 400 points. To me, that seems a bit much.
Yeah, and at that point you're promoting a bad style of gameplay. It's the same problem with Akbar is I'm going to go sideways and you're going to come to me. And I
Yeah,
really, out of all the different play styles, that's probably one of the least interesting to go against because it's, oh, you're just going to wait for me.
yeah,
And I don't want to go into you. So this is going to be a boring game.
yeah. You pick like most wanted or opening salvo, fire lanes, and what do you take for your fucking solar corona? Yeah, it's a boring playstyle for sure. And
To be fair, I mean, certain ships are simply designed to be broadsiders, so
yeah,
kind of you're doing what they're meant to do. It's part of the game, for better or worse.
yep. And having to deal with fleets that are built that way is just one of those things that you have to consider. I mean, it will happen. You'll go against a full broadside bait fleet where they want you to come into their kill box, and it's always been the case. So I just think it might be a bit too much. But anyway, let's move on to the Kazanti assault carrier. 28 to 26. This is fine. I don't see much Kazanti assault carriers outside of really like, cheeky builds where they're like, oh, I'm gonna confire and then roll 2 reds at you. I'm like, okay. Sometimes it pops off and then Sometimes you just dodge it.
This ship only matters for Ramadi.
That's true. Yep.
And just to get a red dice instead of a blue dice in the front, and then take away your black flak and put in a blue dice, I didn't understand why it was that much more expensive than the normal Gazanti, so this is a good change.
Yeah, it was fucking what's the normal Gazanti? Yeah, 23. That's a huge disparity between the two. And yeah, it's a red die and a blue die change, but that's all that changes. You don't get additional upgrades. It just increases your range a bit. And it's just too much for Gazanti. 28 points, really?
So a 22% difference is what it came down to. Is that ship that much more effective to justify that number? The answer was no.
Yeah, I agree.
With no upgrades, no.
Well, they even take the same upgrades.
Right.
Yeah.
So
they
it
don't,
really didn't matter.
Yeah, and they have no upgrades that like synergize with their red dice other than Ramadi. So it's fine. Reduce it. Just let people bring some assault carriers sometimes. I mean, if you compare it with the GR75 combat refit, which is 24 points and puts a blue, it's still 2 more points more than the GR75 combat refit. And the GR75s are more maneuverable than the Gazanti. So I think this is fine. Reduce it a little bit. Let people consider bringing them. Now, let's move on to Victory 2.
So this one was really needed.
Was it?
Yes. And honestly, it missed. Why did we get points reductions in both Architans and we couldn't get points reductions for both victories? That's crazy to me. That's the biggest miss in this for the Empire, is both the Vics needed to come down substantially because they get beat out by their acclimator friends for the Republic.
Yeah.
And the Vic 2 has gotten so much. Here, we'll give you disposable capacitors. Here, and it's like, nope, Vic 2 still can't get to the table because there's too many things that can just pop it and it won't matter. It's got no defensive retrofit. It's slow as hell, so it's going to get crashed on. It's just, ugh.
I think it being slow is the biggest downside to the victory. I think if it was speed 3, these changes won't be as justifiable because of how powerful it can be when you add Dominator, you add Spinal, disposable capacitors. It can throw more dice than most large ships.
At long range.
At long range is what I mean, yeah. But it's just slow. It's a dog at turning, and you can't even bring up Harrow because Harrow on its own does fuck all.
I'm going to dump more points into it so that I can get the things that it should have natively for the points it has. And I'm just dumping points into this thing. Yeah. The victory has gotten such a bad... This is probably the card. These two cards have been the ones that have aged the worst.
Yes. Because if you think about the cards that came in the core set, the Victory, CR90, and Nebulon. Nebulon see play all the time. CR90 is the most points efficient platform in the game, bar none, based on maneuverability, evasion, and consistency. The most points efficient. And the Victory is a joke. If you bring the Victory to any kind of tournament, everyone is going to ask you, what are you doing?
I think that's true of the Vic 1, but the Vic 2 still had a place. At least the Vic 2 had gotten enough love that it could still find a place. It's one little ship in a gun line, and it was fine. But the Vic
Bernie,
1...
its place was taking all your points. Load it up. Load up the Victory. Make it 130 point Victory 2. That's what its place was.
Going back to, I think, Bernie's first point, there's one thing I did want to mention, and why, we only saw points reductions in the Victory 2. The points difference between the Victory 1 and the Victory 2 originally was probably one of the biggest gaps between like the same chassis of a ship
Oh,
out
yeah,
of like everything. It was insane. And exactly because I think it was the one that had longer range, but it was insane.
Yeah, it's a 12-point difference originally.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Yeah, that is a great point. At the Victory 1 though, I think it can still get reduced to 70, maybe sub 70, and it'll still have
Potentially.
problems. It'll still have problems.
Look at an Acclimator 1 and look at the Vic 1. And the Acclimator 1 is cheaper and
yeah.
probably more usable than the Vic 1 is.
I don't even agree with probably. It is just more usable in every regard at 64 points.
The only reason I pause is because there's not enough ships in the Republic to really definitively say it, because you're kind of going to be forced into using an Acclimator at some point. But the Vic 1, oh god, that ship needed some love.
I think the Vic 1, I think you have to consider making additional changes to that ship. Like, man, if it had a salvo or an additional offensive retrofit, then you can see a place for it. But the way it is now, like, fucking, especially with the points changes to the Vic 2. The Victory 1 doesn't exist in my mind. Now it's only Victory 1 is what you take. There's
Again,
no place
it's
for the
the
Victory
problem
1.
of, I guess you brought it up earlier, like the evade changes. It's much harder to get your black dice ship to really do as much as something that can just dump a bunch of dice in you at long range.
I worry about changing the Vic 1 or the Vic 2 as far as upgrade slots or nav charts or anything like that.
That is a big worry.
Start by going, all right, we'll do a points reduction. Let's make it, I don't know, 66 points so that it matches the Acclimator 1. And then let's see what happens with it. Does anyone start to take it?
You know what I want? I want the Victory to get the same treatment that the ISD got when the Chimera came out. I want alternate platforms that are priced differently and perform different roles. Like a Vic 1 with Squad 4. And maybe it has less dice out the front. Maybe only 5 dice out the front. Double offensive retrofit. Carrier pushing Victory 1.
That could be interesting.
You know?
Or do kind of what the Venator 2 did for the Empire is, hey, give up some of the squads and give it another slot or something along those lines. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could see giving it a defensive retrofit natively and boosting its points. There's somewhere to go there.
That would be awesome. That's what I would do. You give a Victory 1 that's focused on pushing squads. Now you have a bulky carrier for the Empire, which is something they're kind of missing. And then a Vic 1 platform that has a defensive retrofit.
Okay, wait, hold on here. What is all this Empire propaganda? Empire does not need more ships. What is going on here?
Listen,
I get it.
What I'm pushing for is for more of the medium ships to be more viable and have different roles. The Quasar is a great Empire carrier, but it's weak as fuck, and it's priced for that. It has brace redirect. That's fucking it. If you want a bulky carrier for the Empire, you have to bring the ISD-2.
But can I get another Rebel medium? Huh?
No.
I get more than come on.
No. No more Rebel mediums. You have enough.
You're a traitor. You get nothing, and you like it.
Listen, Rebels have the most large ships in the game. What are you talking about? You want more medium ships? No. What are you talking about? Providence, Starhawk, 2 variants of MC-80, and the MC-75. You have the most large ships, and you're talking about, I want a medium ship?
Yeah, because there's too many larges.
Yeah. I think there should be more mediums just across the board. But one way to get there is giving more victory platforms. I want more victory variants, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pump the brakes on the whole homebrew thing.
No, I know you. It sounds like I'm talking about homebrew, but from my perspective, it's only wishing. It's only wishing.
I know.
Wishing that Armada was still getting developed, and if Armada was still being developed, that's what I would be asking for. Because you can just do whatever the fuck you want and make whatever homebrew you want, but it doesn't. I don't really value that at all.
No, and there are going to be tons of problems with it, but that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah, we'll have another episode about it. Moving on. Squadrons.
All right. Let's start with the aggressor. The IG-88, IG-88B, IG-88C.
Let me pull them all.
D, E. Eventually, we'll get into double letters.
Yeah, we'll get into C and D. All right.
IG-88A, AB.
Aggressor. 16 to 15. It's got counter 1, rogue, fighter dice, black die, no bomber against ships. Speed 5, or speed 3, hull 5. Sorry, I was reading all that shit backwards. Bro, why are they so slow?
Yeah, no one takes the aggressors.
No one takes these.
They just don't. And yeah, okay. Go and look at the rebels with A-wings and then go, oh, okay, it's nice. They have 3 blue dice. They have a black dice too. They have counter. And rogue, I could take it or leave it because you're just meant to be a roadblock.
Yeah.
For the Empire, why am I bringing this guy with rogue? If I'm going to bring squadrons and I'm going to do this, I'll get Sloan or I'll do something else. And I can't give these guys rerolls unless I go and bring the, what officer is that guy? Oldar. It's just, There are way better options. And you've got enough ships with at least squad value 3 that this shouldn't be a problem. We can push squads. We know how to do this.
Now, you brought up the A-Wing, but I compare this closer to the X-Wing. Speed 3, hull 5, fighter dice, and I mean, it doesn't have bomber, it doesn't have escort, so the keywords are different. But are they really that different?
They're pretty similar, and actually the closer comparison is Rogue Squadron specifically.
Let's get closer. I will raise you a YT-2400.
That's the.
All right.
YT-2400 is like the better, more expensive version of Rogue Squadron, basically. If you look at the stats.
Well, you have speed 4, hull 6, fighter die, black die, rogue.
Yes, I mean a YT-2400 is a big step up. The speed from 3 to 4 and the hull from 5 to 6 are both actually pretty big thresholds to cross. So really, the aggressor is more like Rogue Squadron, which is more in danger of getting 2-shot, and it has a harder time getting where you want it to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the speed between 3 and 4 is a huge gulf to cross. Counter 1 is fine, but I see what you mean about the YT-2400, but it's still 16.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is just
speed 4 is just so valuable compared to speed 3.
It is, and this is really just if for some reason in Empire you want to have some rogues or you're doing something weird where you're not commanding all of your TIE fighters or TIE interceptors or whatever, which are going to be more efficient. This is the generic rogue, and it got a slight points reduction because it had no business being 16 points. Again, we'll compare it to the YT-2400, and that kind of blows it out of the water. So
where does the YT-2400 usually have a spot in Rebels?
Anywhere you want to put a generic squadron that can do work.
Anywhere you want to put it. You bring 4 or 5, or you bring 1. It's just so consistent. It gets where you want it to be. It's hard to outrun for small ships. And if it gets tied up, it's got fighter dice. Like, it's really good.
No, I'm thinking more along the lines of if I had it in Rebel list, what kind of archetype am I putting in it?
A rogue ball, usually, or a mixed rogue and commanded one.
Right. So then where am I throwing that rogue ball? Is it an MSU?
It can be
I think that's
MSU.
common.
It can be Starhawk. I brought this in Starhawk fleets, the YT-2400s.
Okay.
They're perfect. They're almost a baseline for the most efficient squadron because you don't need to command them. Speed 4, hull 6, and they're not that expensive at 16. But when you compare it to the aggressor, it can't chase. It's got hull 5, which is okay. I mean, but rogue and counter 1, it doesn't have swarm, so it doesn't interact with Howl Runner, so it can't get a boost. I mean, maybe with Dengar you get counter 2.
So again, it goes back to the not really synergizing with Imperial tech and like I guess squadron doctrine, so to speak.
And that's kind of why I'm going to the, hey, what do rebels do with a YT-2400? So that I can say, okay, what can an empire do that's close to what the rebels are doing? The Starhawk, I mean, if you've got a Starhawk, what is the equivalent on the other side? Maybe the SSD, but the SSD's got enough to push squads. That's usually not a problem, and you don't have enough points anyway to go throw a bunch of these in there. If you've got an MSU list, well, these guys are a little slower than the YT-2400, so now they're dragging behind when you want to push. So yeah, I can't find a spot where I'm like, yeah, I could use a bunch of these guys.
And now the aggressors have a bigger problem. The IG-88s have also been brought down. And now both versions of IG-88 are 4 points more than the aggressor. So
And they get speed 5.
And they get speed 5 with special abilities. One of them has counter 2, which ignores escort and counter. The other has the fucking Death Blossom ability. So
I keep trying with the Death Blossom, but
it's hard to do. It's hard to do for sure.
Yeah, it's too much effort.
From my perspective, to bring the generic assault fighter, you need this needs to be your third aggressor you're bringing in your fleet, because you'll already have IG-88 and IG-88B in your fleet before you bring a generic aggressor. And then at that point, why aren't you bringing just something else that's better? This is one of those generics that has no place in Empire fleets at all. You're telling me you're going to get to 38 points of squadrons and then make it 53 points of squadrons by bringing a generic aggressor? You
Even
just
worse.
the ship? You just made it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but even worse, when you bring them out in the field, how do you tell the front from the rear? Like, I just keep mixing it up. Like, you're just
What?
It's
What do you mean tell the front from the rear? What are you talking about? It's clear.
Have you seen these?
Yeah, I painted them before. The cockpit is the front.
Okay, but what the heck is the cockpit? I mean, the thing is just all over the place.
The
I'm
mandibles.
sorry.
The mandibles is how you tell the front.
The mandibles? Okay.
Yeah,
Are you sure those aren't like weird engines?
Yes. What are you talking? You see the engine glow on the ship in the picture. Look at the ship picture. You can see the engines on the back.
I want to keep looking at the ship picture. I just want to know what it is on the table.
Listen, the way you know what it is on the table is you paint the engines blue.
Okay.
Once you paint the engines, you're like, all right, I know what the back is. But
Fair enough.
Anyway, it's a long conversation to say, if you're bringing generic aggressors, you could have brought something else that's better, but you just like the ship, and I think that's fine. But don't tell me that it's efficient. IG-88 and IG-88B are both fine. I think they were fine at their original points, but them getting reduced, you're able to consider them more. You can fit them in to 134 points of squadrons easier, because there's a lot of times where you're building 134 points and you have like 132 points and you can't really like fit in a different ace, especially IG88, IG88B, because it might push you over, or you're at like 128. Now you can bring these aces and not push yourself like 2 points over your squad. So I think this is fine. Their abilities for IG88B, especially, it's hard to get off anyway. They both only have one scatter. They're fine.
The interesting thing about the IG88s is, and I feel like the original one should get a little more love, is that if I'll tend to bring IG88 beta, and I don't bring him for his ability. But the reason then to bring him is if you ignore their abilities, he actually has better anti-squat dice. It's 2 blue, 2 black instead of 4 blue. And it feels like the original one should also just be the same. They're pretty much the same robot. Like, why not just keep the dice the same?
I disagree a bit because when you're ignoring escort and counter, and you also bring the air superiority dice, the 2 blacks, 2 blues, you're increasing your consistency by a lot.
Somewhat,
And
but then also Death Blossom. That's a cool ability too when you can get it off.
yeah, but that's what? 2 black, 1 blue for Death Blossom. Like, it's a vulture attack, which I guess is pretty gnarly. But getting the Death Blossom off is fucking hard.
Yeah.
You have to be at the start of the squadron phase and be unactivated. A lot of times you're just dead by the time you get it off.
I think there are a lot more squads that have so much firepower that they can give a massive attack and 4 blues, no rerolls, no nothing. And what you're trying to do is go for a target by ignoring escort. I I don't know if he's really doing that well at that job.
That's true, but now he's cheaper.
Yeah.
But so is the alternative.
So is the alternative, yeah. But man, ignoring counter is so good. Ignoring counter is so good.
But he's also
Maybe.
only single scatter and what, 5 hull?
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 hull.
So he'll go down pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
be interesting to see.
I mean, he might be able to make him cheaper, you know, after a certain point. But I think it's fine. It's not so drastic. It's what, a 3-point change, a 2-point change? That's fine. They should see more play, and hopefully you're able to fit these little robots in a bit more. But on to the next one. Boba Fett, 26 to 24.
Boba Fett, where?
Right here. And he's gonna make you take a fucking shield damage.
Wait, he's coming out of my binder?
I mean, yeah, this is a good decrease. 26 points was a lot. I think he's really good. I mean, even at 26, his ability is so consistent. You especially want to use it on squadrons and not ships. And for scatter aces, he's great.
So
And now he's going to be even better.
Boba Fett is a good squad. I don't think I will ever say that he was bad. He's never been bad. He's expensive. He's always been expensive, and Imperial ace slots are so competitive for squadrons that it's always hard to fit him in when you have, what is it? Merrick, Jindin, Vader nonsense.
Yeah. I think even at 24 points, it's going to be difficult to fit him in. Like
But he's
Imperial
good.
Aces, it's the most competitive area of the game, Imperial Aces.
Find the point, take Defender Vader.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that you have so many other options, and the other options are still so much better.
Yeah, like comparing Boba to Defender Vader is insane. That's an insane decision.
And when you have 4 slots, that decision becomes a lot harder.
Yes. And the ace changes to only have, 4 aces in a standard game, I think is one of the best decisions in Armada. but a, a huge amount of effort needs to be done in adjusting points for a lot of these aces because you can't tell me you're going to take Boba over Defender Vader and get away with it because they're just different. They're different power levels. Speed 5, really? Red, blue, double black? Double red against ships with Adept 2? With Vader's ability? Like, come on. 1 point more? No way. I think you can consider bringing Boba down even more, or you just say, I'm bringing Boba because I already have Defender Vader.
That gets pricey.
I guess price, yeah, this is fucking 50 points.
But, you know, if
49.
If the Empire doesn't want to pay for Boba Fett's services, maybe he should make the smart business move and go to other factions. They would appreciate him.
I don't agree. I don't think he's gonna go to other factions. No. You would have to do like a scum faction for this, and that's just not something I'm interested in for Armada.
It's too much.
Now, I would be interested in having like secondary like pirate factions as far as like objective play is concerned. Maybe some interesting objectives where like you bring a little pirate ship that's whoever's leading in points, you attack that player with this ship or some kind of cool fun effect. But I mean, you really think that you're gonna find a Boba Fett rebellion card? Nah, no, because he's not gonna be in Republic or CIS because we got Django there now. So yeah, I don't see it.
You don't want the father-son tag team?
It's not that I don't want it. Is I just don't think it's gonna happen.
We have enough kid pilots in Star Wars. We can have another one.
All right. Going to.
Where are all your parents letting you fly in space without a license? Shame on them.
I don't think you need a license in Star Wars to fly a fucking ship. All right. Moving on to the king of the squadron field, Colonel Jendon, from 20 points to 23. What do you guys think about this?
Had to happen.
We kept introducing better squadrons. He became too efficient.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the Top Gun tag team has always and will always be Merrick Jendon. It's impossible to replace them. But when you add Vader Defender, you create a situation where the squads are so threatening and almost impossible to lock down both of them that Jendon has to go up to respond to it.
So one of the things about this too is, as we've been talking about, it is so good that you're just gonna find the points for it. You just lost 3 points in your list, but you're not gonna not take them. They're still gonna be there.
I wonder at what point does Colonel Jendon get priced out? How high do you need to make Jendon before you don't take him? 25? Because if Jendon is at 25 points, you're just telling me you've brought 2 Defender Vaders. And I think you do that every time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's costed appropriately to one of the better targets for his ability.
And one of the things we haven't mentioned either is the relay too is also really good. I think it's especially at higher skill levels of play, you see people really making use of the relay in addition to his ability to really get the range extension on commanding squads and just be able to hammer things.
Yeah, and I wasn't even considering his alternate abilities. I was just thinking about his ace ability. And I'm like, man, if he's at 25 points, you still take him. You still do it.
Going back to Centaur that I mentioned with the command cruiser. This is Sissy Sloan. This is, I'm going to extend out my range. My squadrons do so much to you that I'm not at risk, but you sure as hell are. So it's good that the points got increased on Jendon.
Yeah, I mean, he deserved it. He's really good. I mean, I think even Merrick should go up as well, just because of his consistency. But Not saying that this needs to happen, but if I was reworking or redesigning Merrick, he would need to spend one of his defense tokens to use his ability. Because just being able to do it on every attack, especially in conjunction with Jendin, there has to be a trade-off at a certain point when you're just setting a die to a crit.
I think we have enough dice fixing in squads now that it's not too bad. It's not too unique to him.
It's not too unique, but with his cost, 21 points, you either increase his points or you have a requirement to use his ability, which I think spending a defense token is consistent with other squadrons that do similar things.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What else really sets a die? The obvious, most recent ones, Django, and that's you have to damage something else.
Exactly. There's always a cost for that. Lando, you completely get rid of a defense token.
But maybe not setting, but we've got now with the depth enough dice fixing or
that too.
Yeah, but that is just a reroll, which is still good, but it's not as good, as consistent as setting it, especially in conjunction with Jendin. You get to do that twice.
I've seen Vader Defender miss his bombing runs, even with the Adept 2. So
yeah, because you've got reds, like it does miss. But I think if I was reworking him, if he's at 21, it needs a cost. And if you're not going to have the cost, he has to go up.
Let's see. We'll see how squads do moving forward. I think that's waiting and seeing and doing small points adjustments. Start there. See how things go. I don't think the old Imperial squad ball that used to exist is. It's not, and we have nothing that's as bad as that anymore.
That's true. Yeah, that used to be just fucking a terror.
And to your point on waiting and seeing, I mean, because Jendin and Merrick were kind of a pair, this really is sort of a points adjustment to the pair in a way. So
that's true.
Yeah, fair enough.
I just think that Jendin having an additional target in Defender Vader, it warrants this change a lot. Because if you are able to lock down Merrick, Jendin just goes over to where Vader is and makes him more deadly.
Onto the Mandalorians?
Onto the Mandalorians. The Gauntlet Fighters. What a joke. What a joke. I mean, at 20 points, I mean, nobody brings these unless you're like trying to flex. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna bring Gauntlet Fighters. It's almost like hazing your opponent.
It comes down to assault is pretty terrible. Why am I giving up damage for raid tokens?
You never do it. There's no way to spend raid tokens for Empire. What does that?
Right.
Why would you ever assault then?
So assault is just a bad keyword. It's badly put together.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and
to be fair,
it's overvalued.
Raid has issues, and if you start tuning it up a little more, it could become oppressive. So it's in this weird zone of.
So raid and assault are point costed based on the worst case scenario. Is that I'm going to raid you, you now cannot do the thing that you wanted to do, and now the play experience. Now, that's terrible for new players. But anyone who's gone against raid knows, oh, okay, I just token up, or hey, I let them pile up on me, and then I go discard a dial and clear it. Like, there are ways around it once you've dealt with it.
deals with it.
Yeah. There's too much that deals with it. And so the raid that I would put on you is meh. And now I'm trading damage to do meh. So it's meh on top of meh, and it's...
Yep. And Empire just doesn't have the tools for it. Rebels at least have a couple tricks. Separatists obviously have probably the most design oriented around raid. Like Empire, it's like what you got these, and you got Beck, I guess, but Beck is the opposite. So
Yeah, Beck puts raids on your own ship. You have no way to spend raids for Empire, so this is just a non-keyword. Like
Yep,
if Gauntlet
which
Fighters
means
were in Separatists, I would see them at 20 points because you can get value out of it with multiple commanders, multiple abilities. But this
yep.
just does nothing.
So it means you have a very expensive squad that's 2 blue anti-ship, and it goes speed 4, so it's
That's
faster than a
nice.
fire spray.
Lots of hull.
That's about it.
Yeah,
If
just
Assault
disappointing as
works the way that it worked on Cayman, we'd be having a different discussion, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. You would be able to get value out of your missed hits, but it's just not how it is.
Yep.
However, I will say, yes, Gar Saxon.
Gar Saxon.
I am
Now
willing.
this guy fucks.
Okay, that analysis wins.
Gar Saxon, I would be willing to bring now because double dice against ships is good, and he swaps out a blue die for a black die.
Yeah.
And he's only like, what, 2 more points than the generic one?
2 more points than the generic. He's got Intel Relay hate. Like, the one defense token sucks, but he's got enough hull where you can consider bringing him if you just don't want to deal with that shit.
Yep.
If you're planning on going up against fleets that have Intel Relay, you can just auto damage them.
His ability really is like a whatever kind of thing to me, honestly. I want him to be like a weird knockoff Ketsu. The ability doesn't matter. You just go rogue and throw 2 dice at ships.
If you took him, would you even remember it?
If I'm bringing Gar Saxon, it's for his Intel Relay hate ability. I think there's so much value you can get out of that.
I'm the opposite. I just want the rogue bombing.
Well, because I would bring him with flight controllers, and then he's 3 blues and a red. You know.
So if you really want that, why not? If you're bringing him for the bombing, why not bring Bosk?
Isn't Bosk slower?
No,
Yeah, just by 1.
Just by 1.
That 3 to 4 is pretty big difference, like we were talking about.
He's 3 more points as
can't
well.
chase small ships
Well, he's
that
3
well.
more points, but he's got grit and he's got 4 black dice, so he's a hell of a lot more consistent. And if you damaged him, now I got inaccurate.
Yeah,
that is cool. I mean, Bosk is neat, but again, it's the speed 3. Speed 3 to speed 4 is just such a huge difference to me. And a rogue bomber,
well, he's not a bomber, but
okay, I say bomber. I'm using him as a bomber. He doesn't have the keyword.
Yeah.
This being able to chase things down just matters too much to me. So Bosk can't do that.
You know what would be fun though? Let me see. I like the idea of having the Gazanti Vector with Gar Saxon and Bosk. I think that's great.
That could be interesting.
They both don't have heavy. Speed 5 Gar Saxon, speed 4 Bosk.
Yeah, you get them on target. You use the rest of your squads just to do the squad war, and then they're just sitting over there, going on bombing runs on your target.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
See, I'll just take Bosk so that I can shake my fists angrily at my opponent like the old man I am.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill you. Perfect. Let's go on to Whisper. Where is Whisper? All the way at the bottom.
I will say, out of all the squadrons, I really, really wished that the Phantom, in general, not just Whisper, made it onto this list and got a reduction.
Yeah. Sort of.
How much are the Phantoms? 4?
14.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's just
that's
so
tough, man.
If you had an Interceptor at 11 and a Phantom at 14, do you think the 3-point increase is justified?
Yeah.
Cloak is really good.
I do.
And they do get 4 hull instead of 3, and
no swarm.
No
counter.
No swarm.
No swarm, no counter.
No
doesn't
swarm,
matter.
no counter. They fit a different role, but they should be more expensive. They should be more expensive. But
Phantom?
No, the
No.
Interceptor.
More expensive than the TIE Interceptor. Relative.
Oh, I don't disagree,
Oh.
but I think 3 points isn't justified.
Man, I think at 13 or 12, like, they'd also be fine. But,
Mhm.
I mean, what? Saber Squadron is 12. Because I've played with Phantoms and Whisper. They're great. They're really great.
They're great, but they can go down really fast, and then they're just expensive dead weight.
Yeah, but
And
Cloak is
yeah.
perfect. Like, you can push out with them, bring them back into range. Double Reds is fun as fuck, especially with Sloan.
But inconsistent.
It is inconsistent. With Sloan, it's less so. But yes, you could bring Phantoms down as well, and it would be fine. Whisper going to 18 is fine.
Whisper's cool.
It's not that crazy because a lot of Empire Aces are really cheap. And so I think this just brings Whisper kind of in line with the rest of them. Now, one of the bitches I think should go up is Valen Rudor. Fuck that guy.
Eh, maybe.
But Whisper coming down, I think, is fine. I think them being at 20 points was way too much.
Yeah.
I think every time I try to do Phantoms, I'm always underwhelmed. And I remember them from the Rebel Assault days, and I want my Phantoms to do more. They were hyped up so much, and for them to kind of be underwhelming, I'm sad.
Yeah, they are a bit underwhelming, but I've used them and they feel good.
Whisper with the points decrease, as you're saying, now I actually can have a spot at that like 4th ace slot in Imperials, so you can.
Yeah, they're definitely the last one that you consider bringing.
But Whisper has tricks, especially if Whisper is near a station. You are gonna struggle to get Whisper down.
Yes.
And that might be the problem, is the interaction with the interdictor and people worried about how that'll impact the Phantoms. But I think taking them down 1, maybe 2 points isn't too bad.
Yeah, I don't think it would be terrible. But again, you don't want to change too much. Like, if you change Whisper down by 2 and the Phantoms down by 1 or 2 as well, you're creating a lot of situations where it's like, oh, these are too efficient now, especially since Cloak counts as a move.
Yeah. So it's something I would look at and go, hey, maybe a point or 2 would be nice.
Yeah, I think I'd do a point. I think they're usable at 14 right now. It's just a lot of people just don't because they think that there are other better alternatives.
All right. You've challenged me. I got to get a list together for the next battle report.
Do it. Do it. Let's go to the titles. What are these titles? Corruptor?
Yeah, you're gonna have to read that one off.
Okay, yeah. Corruptor. Squadron command. The speed of each squadron with bomber you activate is increased by 1 until the end of the activation. Useless. Useless at 5, for sure. But the problem is that I'm not playing Rebels. So my bombers are fast as fuck, bitch. Already. Most of them are speed 4. Some of them speed 5. So why am I bringing this? Why am I using my title slot for Corruptor? Especially since victories aren't carriers.
Yeah. The only way this works is you've got Chirano, you've got this, they're tied down. Why they're tied down is the first question. You probably should not have had them tied down. The only thing I can think of is you had advanced transponder nets, you're using them as your squad defense, and now you've tied people up and you want to go and do some bombing.
Yeah,
but now you've gotten 3 upgrade cards on top of each other to go and accomplish this task. So you got to also
that's
question
a 91-point combo.
I know. That's why I'm questioning your decisions when you do that. But
yeah, you just don't bring Corruptor.
The only other thing I could think of is fire sprays and trying to make them a little faster. But you got Vector. It's the other thing. You have
you
Vector.
Just bring Vector.
Like, I don't know. What are you doing with this card?
It's just too much. You're bringing a victory, and you're making it push squadrons. Just bring your Gazanti and put expanded hangar bays and Vector on it. What are you doing? You're not doing Corruptor.
Or you bring your Quasar and Squall and go and do that.
Well, Squall is going to be a bit more expensive now, which we'll get to.
And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, because Squall was a nightmare. But let's move on to Dominator, which now a lot of these points changes. I love when points go down because I can fit more into my lists. But Dominator, I don't think this needed to be changed at all. Like at 12 points, I was bringing Dominator.
Dominator needed to be
slapping.
brought down.
It's
because
so powerful, man. What are you talking about?
But if you start to
compare explode.
If you compare it to other dice adding, it got eclipsed by other cards. It needed to come down in price. You look over at the CIS and you see them getting 2 blue dice, and all they're giving up is you can only make 1 attack. Okay, well, you probably were only making 1 attack anyway, so all right.
And how much is Devastator?
Devastator.
10 points. That should have probably went down too.
Devastator should have gone down too, because if you're adding more than 1 blue die, and you've taken your title slot, and you have to lose defense tokens to activate Devastator, like this should be cheaper. What should we price Devastator at? 6?
Probably.
I mean, high capacity ion turbines is 6, and it's a modification. And so the title Devastator, I have to get rid of my defense tokens to get dice. Like fuck.
But
and it's only once per round. Only once per round.
The old titles have kind of gotten eclipsed by the number of upgrades that have come out. So
yeah, I mean that's fair. I think Dominator is just so good,
and
I love Dominator.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
From our last battle report, I was trying it out with Palpatine just to have some fun, and that last shot on it, it took down. What was it? The Liberty that it took out.
Yep. Well, listen, you bastard. Because you were using Dominator on my A-Wings, which I fucking... First off, I had to check to make sure you were allowed to do that at all. And I think you shouldn't do that again to me.
Oh, you can... So this is the other thing I like.
You add 2 dice to squadron attack. Like, if you bring LTT, that's ridiculous.
Well, that was the thing. I thought about it. You can create a flak boat from hell where you have Callus, LTT, and then you bring in... Yep, and then you bring in ordnance pods, and now I've just hit your squad for a shit ton, and I'm nuking them out of the sky. Now you're going to go and take that Liberty out and nuke it, but a victory, but you're going to nuke that victory no matter what.
Callus, ordnance pods, LTT,
and Dominator.
You know, you can do tricks with Warlord as well. If you want to do flak nonsense.
Oh, Warlord.
Wait, what did you want me to do? Oh, Waldor?
Warlord. While attacking, you may change 1 die.
Oh, okay.
Because then you could do red dice for LTT or red dice for Callus, and then Warlord it to be a double hit. Ooh, that's fucking nasty.
But anyway, the interesting thing with Dominator is, again, it's probably going to be on a victory too. So that is now what, like -5 points, minus 10 points total? Yeah.
No, because you could bring it on a victory 1 too.
You can.
It doesn't have blue dice, so now you're adding blue dice. Maybe you bring rapid reload. Rapid reload, Dominator, it coming down in points creates a lot of opportunities for victories to be extremely powerful.
Yeah, but this is always kind of funny because earlier we're lamenting the victory, and now it's like Dominator's too good though.
I know, but that was before we got to Dominator.
It's too good. It's that now it's priced to the point where I'm starting to consider it and I'm starting to come up with ideas. Does that mean Dominator is going to all of a sudden become this impossible, unstoppable build? Hell no. In fact, Dominator is going to always probably get taken off the board. But the point is that, hey, let's bring the cost down so the ship that I'm basically sacrificing doesn't go and lose me the game.
And the biggest issue with Dominator, especially if you bring it on like a Vic 1, how do you get it there? How do you get your victory into close range? You're
Yep.
just not able to do it.
Yeah.
You have to bring Harrow if you want to get to close range.
Or you play him like area denial.
Or you play area denial. Yeah, you can do that too. But that's hard.
And this is the problem. We go, oh, we could do these crazy things with Dominator, and then you go into the game, and can you really? Maybe.
Yeah, Dominator, I feel, is a protection title for the Victory 2. You are using Victory 2 as like a catapult with disposable capacitors. You're just throwing lots of dice at long range. And if they get close to you, close medium, like at your sides, you're able to essentially do a front arc shot out of your sides for whoever's trying to, try and evade your front arc. That's how I use Dominator, and it's worked out pretty fucking well, actually. But I was using it at 12 points, so now at 7 points, like, fucking obviously, I'm going to take Dominator. It's so good.
Dominator is the big example for me out of this list of Imperial changes that I get to bring a card out now, and I want to do some things with it. And now that's given Armada more legs. So the more things like this that we can do, even better.
All right. Hand of Justice. 5-3. Or 4-2, I mean. Yeah, 4-2. That's fine. It has a huge cost of spending your own defense tokens. But I don't really like Hand of Justice. I really am not able to get the use out of it that we need to.
Timing seems a little awkward.
The timing is awkward. And lots of times when I bring Architans, I'm bringing TRC. And so you want me to turn all of my redirects and contains red to help some other ship?
No, you don't exhaust your defense tokens. You exhaust the card.
Hold on. I actually got to look this up because I don't even remember.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
was thinking of the
You're thinking of the
Hearthstone
CIS one, Beast of Burden.
Beast of Burden. Yeah, okay. So it's only one for
But it's
2
one
points?
token, yep.
So this is nice if you got an SSD or you got some high value target that you really don't want to get its defense tokens burnt up. So this one, and then what is it? Reva McIntyre, whatever the hell she is.
Riva Domain, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's French.
Ooh la la.
Even though she's green. Yeah. At 2 points is fine. I thought it was the exhaust your defense token title, the Beast of Burden one, like you were saying. At 2 points is fine. Whatever.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, at 2 points, people will actually consider bringing it just because. I mean,
yeah, you
Jaina's
just slap it on and you get an extra use of a defense token.
Yeah. So it'll at least encourage people to try it. How effective it will be, I don't know.
It'll probably be fine. It's fine at 2 points. At 4 points, it was ridiculous. You didn't really bring it at all.
I think people were still playing it. It's just what this Architins does well is you put it in with a high value target, SSD, ISD, whatever. You run it along its side to strengthen the sides that are normally weak. So now people don't want to go into it. And now you got the ability to flip some defense tokens back on your high price target. So it existed. People used it. It probably will see a little bit more use, especially now with the Architins going down to pair with it.
Yeah, and I mean, even with just Architins based fleets, like when you're using TRC for your dice control, you can, like if you have an Architins that's going to take some attacks, you can refresh its evade. And now you can spend that, cancel some dice. It's good. At 2 points, it's good. At 4 was ridiculous. It was hard to justify bringing it. But anyway, move on to the Quasar titles. Stronghold. While a friendly squadron with Swarm at distance 1 to 2 is defending, the attack is treated as obstructed. Was 5 points, now 3. There are better Quasar titles than this.
This one is interesting. I ran Jamming Field for a while with squads, and I actually really liked it with Rebel squads in particular because they're a bit higher on hull.
Yeah.
So when you're removing anti-squad dice, you might have to take like 1 to 2 more attacks on one of your squads for it to go down. But Jamming Field, I think it goes out to
It's
is it
two.
just 1
This
to 2
is 2.
1
Yeah,
to
1
2,
to 2.
yeah.
It is also 1 to 2, but it also stops you from doing as much.
Yes.
So just thinking about the effect itself, I like it, especially since you got a lot of squads with Swarm in Empire, but it is on a Quasar. So the little GR-75 transports with Jamming Field, I can kind of get them like right into the middle of the fight, and they're flacking and all that.
Yeah, you don't want the Quasar to be in the fight.
You have to have
There
a
is-
weird build to make it work.
And that's the thing. You put this with boarding troopers and bring it up, march it up the field, have some squads around it to protect it, and then boarding troopers, and you probably have Sloan with all these swarm squads now, and now you can just burn through a bunch of defense tokens.
It does sound like
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yep.
Gotta love boarding troopers.
Boarding troopers. I love Quasars with boarding troopers. I think it's their ultimate use case. Like disposal capacitors, boarding troopers, stronghold. Like that's pretty great. But also, I would take it without stronghold, and I'd just bring pursuant because pursuant gives you more flexibility.
And that's the other piece of it. You probably want Pursuant just because of raids, because raids would
Pursuant's
just
at
end your
2.
day.
Yeah.
There's that.
So
The again though, I mean like I could still see value to something like this. The main issue I'm feeling is that these swarm squads have 3 hull. So how much is the obstruction doing? It can matter,
yeah,
but they can also still get chewed up pretty quickly. So it's a harder equation on 3 hull squads than it is on like, 5, 6, 7 hull, which
yeah.
was what I was used to.
And the biggest issue is when you're bringing a Quasar, the titles are really competing with themselves because you're not bringing a second Quasar unless you're trying to be a cheeky little shit.
Yeah.
So you might be bringing the wrong swarm squad. Get a bunch of jump masters.
What? Fucking jump
Yep.
masters.
I
Yep.
will defend the generic jump master. I've actually tried it out.
You're
Because-
defending the generic jump. What?
Because you bring one of them and it gives intel, and intel is really freaking good.
Dengar gives intel.
Yeah, but 12 points and you can fit more other stuff in your
not-
squad ball. It's the
Counter
9th
defense
squad.
It's the 9th squad. You're saying the jump master? No. Okay. You have to bring us a fleet with generic jump masters before you can say that kind of stuff. You're bringing
Actually,
it
have.
over
I just
Dengar?
I
been
now
bringing
have
it
an
against
idea. I
You-
really do want to do this now.
Well, now you have to because you're saying shit like this.
I want double
Over
quasars.
Dengar?
No, double quasars and a bunch of jump masters.
Go
You will
fuck
see.
yourself.
This will be brilliant.
No, I fucking dare
Nothing
you to
can
do
go
that.
wrong.
With no Dengar, you're saying. Like, I get you already have Dengar and you want more intel. You want to have a larger range of intel. But before Dengar? No. Show me what you're saying.
I mean, I could bring a list that's pretty
You're
mean,
gonna have to now.
actually. Okay. I
Fuck.
have it. I have the list. I'll bring it. It even has Gar Saxon.
Shut the fuck up. Whatever. What the fuck ever. Do what you're saying you're gonna do, because I don't
will.
believe
I
you.
can.
Oh, okay, moving on. Like I was saying, Quasar titles have to compete with themselves. My favorite is Pursuant. Squall. Pretty much every sweaty nerd loves Squall. When you activate, choose 3 unengaged friendly squadrons at close medium. They may move up to distance 2. If they do, they cannot end engaged. Used to be 3 points, now it's 7. Justified. Squall is amazing. Especially for sweaty tryhards. Like, Being
How
able to move them
far?
distance
How far can
2.
you strike out with like a Defender Vader and other shit like that in
Distance
Jindin?
5 Defender Vader.
So you can
You
fly
can go
almost straight across the board.
You can
practically.
go extremely far because distance 1 is further than all other distances, but it's extreme. And I think this points increase is justified for how good this is at repositioning your squadrons, especially in the first few turns. Because, I mean, when you're deploying, when you're bringing a lot of squadrons, because if you're bringing a Quasar, I'm assuming you're bringing a lot of squadrons, deploying them, they're normally going to be out of position because you're trying to get deployment advantage. So being able to use the first 2 turns to correct 6 of them is an incredibly valuable tool. Now you have to consider if doing that, I mean, every fucking Quasar activation is worth the 7 points. Which, if you've been using Squall, you know, even though you might be annoyed that the point cost has gone up, you know that it's still that valuable.
Yeah, especially, I mean, we literally already had talked about, the Imperial squads and just the sheer range that they have. This is part of the problem, so to speak, of the range that they can achieve with their powerful squads.
And I mean, if you don't bring a boarding troopers Quasar and you bring something like boosted comms because you don't like interesting fleet interactions, you can go and grab your squads that you've pushed out to distance fucking 7. You know, more likely it's closer to distance 8, but you can then go and get them and still activate them. So yeah, Squall going up to 7, I think it's pretty much where it needs to be.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of glad I never ended up going against it before the points went up to 7.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild upgrade card for sure. And it's especially annoying with like Moralo fleets because it counts as a move, so you can do the whole fucking nonsense of, oh, I move all my lambdas and each one of them moves one of the tokens, so Moralo gets to attack like 3 fucking extra times, blah 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 blah. Listen, Moralo's a really efficient squadron, but playing against him is lame. It's not fun. His ability is really good. It's just a lame game when you play against Moralo.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's not you, Bernie. I've gone against Moralo so often, and it's just like after a while I'm like, fine, attack 12 times in a round with this guy, like whatever. His ability's nonsense. It's just not the way a squadron ability should interact with the board. Especially when you add upgrades like Squall.
It does need to get limited a little bit, but he's one of those things where once you've seen him and know, okay, I have to pin him down, then
it's just obnoxious. Like if I know I'm going to play against Moralo, sure. But man, if you bring a squadronless fleet,
oh yeah,
like
well,
an ISD interdiction, like what the fuck do you do? You can't. He's gonna attack you 12 times in a round.
and this goes back to the, well, even if you go squadless, you still need something.
Yeah, and then even if you still have something, like if you have token squads, he's gonna attack them 12 times in a round.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck do you do?
You take PDIC and he has a bad day.
Yes.
Because you pretty much keep rolling dice, and every time he gets a hit, go, okay. Right,
It's still double blue against ships, so it's like you're just making him reflip the coin. It helps a little bit, but fucking Moralo is just the most obnoxious guy. If you rely on Moralo to win your games, like, Come on.
The problem is a list with Moralo is made to go second and depend on him.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing Sloan, which at that point,
Yeah. Moralo are really like Moralo-focused fleets. And it's just one of those things where he needs to have some kind of cost or limiter to how many times he can do it.
There's also, if you talk Morello, you can't really get away from talking about strategic as well and how it works.
And I mean, strategic is one of the problems in the game because it's just fucking lame.
it's okay. The problem with strategic is the way what they paired strategic with. So the squads for the Civil War that have strategic are high hull, and they also have relay. So they love being in a mix of a squad ball, and even if you get them and try to pin them down, you're still going to have to chew through the hole. What strategic should have been was a 3 to 4 point ship that goes and does these things, and then you have to go and protect that ship. And if it was done correctly, that's one of the things that would have been nice for the Clone Wars factions, is to go in that direction, not pair it with relay, make them low hull value. That way they were a completely different type of squad.
But I think it's fine on the ships or the squadrons they're on, but moving it to distance 1 of the squadron is the horseshit part of it. If it's distance 1 of the objective token's current position, it's not that bad. But you're moving it like fucking distance 3, that's completely obnoxious.
Fair.
It'd also be probably the easiest change to make to strategic.
It should be distance 1 of the objective token. And then it's not that bad. But when you just barely move your lambda at distance 1 of the objective token, and then you pick it up and you move it all the furthest it can go towards your ships, it's a fucking huge distance. It's at least distance 3 or 4. It's at.
Okay, it is at. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
It's at, which is at least distance 3, might be distance 3.5 or 4. It's a huge distance. And if you're playing with strategic and you're playing with those objectives that have those tokens on the field, moving it that far is obnoxious. A lot of objectives, fire lanes, some of these other objectives, they let the opponent move those as well. You know how far they let them move them? Distance 1 to 2 of their current position. Within distance 1 to 2 of their current position. So when you have a strategic squad and it's like, nah, move it like distance 3 to 4 from its current position, and do that every time this squad moves, fucking bullshit. Especially if you start stacking like 3 or 4 strategic squads. What the fuck do you do?
Yeah, it gets pretty out of hand.
Yeah, and then when you say, well, these other two factions don't have anything to combat that too, it's
yeah, they don't have any strategic. And especially if the whole objective is based around being in range of these objective tokens, and it's like, oh, there's only 3 of those tokens also. It's like, I have 3 lambdas, so what are you going to do? Oh, and also I get to activate Moralo off of them. What the fuck?
Yep, so Squall might not be as mean of a title if there weren't all these other things that it combos really well with.
It's all the other things that make Squall obnoxious. But thinking at it, just repositioning your squads, it's still valuable at 7.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because that's what old Sloan would do: move them out, and then they would be speed 4 or 5 and go jump something, and you couldn't handle that alpha strike.
Yeah.
So just on its own, it was really good.
Yeah, on its own, it was really good. And then you stack all of these different keywords and objective cards and squadron abilities, and it became fucking obnoxious. Especially doing that like every round. Like I could see Squall at a place where you discard it and it's still pretty good. Not at 7. Anyway, We've been going on for actually quite a while. I thought we were going to be able to do Rebels as well, but let's just go on and we'll do another episode for Rebels, and we'll just get another podcast episode out of this.
Yeah, there's just too much going on with the Galactic Civil War factions.
Yeah, there's too much to talk about, you know? But thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, consider giving a like or comment if you disagree with our takes on these changes. And if you want to keep supporting the channel and more videos, consider taking a look at the Patreon. You'll get stuff early. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Don't wash your socks. Just buy a new pair.
Yeah. All right.
Was that like a?
It's a shot to Tim.
Yeah, okay.
Here, 1 second. I'll be right back.
Because what is he always? He says something about like always wash your socks.
And always wash your socks.
I mean, there's a certain appeal to buying new ones.
I know.
Yeah.
They're nice and new and crisp.
Oh man, yeah, I can't believe we. I mean, I guess I can believe we spent 2 hours on just Empire stuff.
I believe we could spend way more on. Empire is the one that we always all usually play and go back to.
I actually have a little less experience with it, but like I also have played against it enough, so yeah.
Fair. Oh man, 2 Quasars. You get reserve hangar decks.
Oh, you're doing the thing.
You get four jump masters. So now you can do reserve hangar decks too. So no way in hell they're gonna go and kill these things. And then you've got boarding troopers. You just straddle on up to them. Jump master in.
Jump masters. So to be fair, the thing I was talking about actually isn't my idea. It's from a list called 651 that the Atlanta guys put together, and it's a bunch of TIE bombers, a bunch of TIE interceptors, and 1 jump master. And it's pretty much just like all generics, but you just have so many squads that you either blow up all their squadrons or just go for big bombing run. And the generic jump master is just there for intel when you need it.
Oh, no. I'm going to put as much of these motherfuckers in as I can.
Yeah, and you're going off on a crazy tangent.
Of course I am.
Of course you are.
So we're going to call this list Double Dragon because I got 2 Quasars.
Double Dragon? Wait, are you sure dragon is the right term?
Of course it is. How are you not liking? All right, so we got 4 jump masters. We got a glad one sitting back. All right, what else can
I had to fucking pee so bad in like the last couple of upgrades. Holy shit!
All right, I'm doing the same. Tag in.
Okay, tag out. What were you fucking talking about?
Oh, Bernie was going into his ridiculous jump master list. So he was trying to.
I'm glad I didn't hear it. Fucking, I'm sure it was some obnoxious nonsense.
Oh man, I was just saying that like the list, the use I've seen of a generic jump master is from other people, and it actually can get pretty nasty. But it's just TIE interceptors and TIE bomber swarms with 1 generic jump master, and that's it.
Oh, just for the grit?
Just for the intel. Grit, whatever.
I kind of want the jump master to be cheaper. It's priced at when Intel gave your enemy squadrons heavy, and now it doesn't do that. It should be cheaper.
It's actually not bad as a generic. It has way more value. It has way more value as a squad than a freaking Hawk does. It actually has swarm.
No,
it does.
Than a generic Hawk.
The generic jump master can actually fight.
All right.
The generic jump master can actually do some anti-squad stuff in addition to intel.
No, it's 2 blue.
Swarm. It has swarm.
But
the Hawk just has what, like counter 1?
Counter 2. Counter 2 with intel. Yes.
2, but then you got to get shot at. Like, and it only has how much hull does it have?
4.
The Hawk.
Same as the Jump Master, right?
This Jump Master have 4 or 5? I
think
don't
it's
remember.
4.
Is it
it's
4?
4, man. Yeah, it's 4.
I really can't remember. That's all. That's all. Yeah, it is 4.
Yeah. They're
But
actually
Swarm-
they're very close. Hawk is slower with counter 2, and
Oh, and it's
Jump
slower.
Master and
Yeah,
it's
no,
slower.
Speed 4. Speed
Yeah,
4
but it's
and
Rebels.
Swarm.
It's Rebels. Rebels are always slower.
Dan,
But
it sucks.
Listen, 1 reroll on a 2 blue dice attack is not as good as counter 2.
Yeah, but counter 2 is going to be 2 blue dice with no dice control, and you're only going to use it like twice, maybe. Maybe. Are you gonna survive being shot at more than twice?
Fuck.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't like the Hawk that much.
No, generic
one.
Hawk is not something I consider taking. It's always Gen Ors.
It is, and that's the other thing. But like,
Neonors.
I don't necessarily love Dengar.
You don't. You're already bringing a bunch of swarm ships. They're getting counter 1 or increasing counter.
Yeah, but Empire ships don't want to get shot at. They want to alpha strike.
Fair enough.
I don't know. It feels weird. I just want that intel. I just want that sweet, sweet intel.
Yeah. I think the Jump Master has to get a points rebalance for the change to Intel because it's just not as valuable. Same with Dengar. Like Intel used to be the bomb.
Maybe Dengar.
Now,
I'd be willing to see
oh
about
fuck!
points.
He's already made one. God damn it!
What? Yo.
Fuck! Most wanted hyperspace assault superior positions. Quasar Fire 1.
Double Dragon.
Yes,
Why?
of course I would.
Quasar
Not
1
Dragon.
with boarding troopers,
Like,
reserve hangar
double
deck, stronghold.
Moose. I don't know, like something
Double
else.
Moose.
Yeah, not Dragon. Come on.
But all right, another Quasar with boarding troopers, reserve hangar deck, pursuant. Gladiator 1 with Sloan, Beck, ordnance experts, engine techs, expanded launchers, demolisher. That's a fucking nonsense. 2 Gazantes with CommsNet. 4 Jump Masters. What are you doing? Dude, do you think it's X-Wing Wave 12? What the? Get the fuck out of here. 4 Jump Masters. What warrants this? Who are you gonna haze with this fucking list? And then Jendon, Merrick, Howlrunner. What? No flight controllers.
Nope.
This is
Oh man.
This is a newbie hazing list if I've ever seen one.
And it's an odd squad value.
It is.
It's
Points
an
for
odd
that.
quality. Yeah, because that's gonna piss me off.
Points for that. You're gonna get points from me.
If we had a local Armada HR team, I'd fucking report you for this shit.
This is the
reserve
goofiest
hangar
shit
deck so you can bring back your Jump Masters. What a nightmare. Oh my god. I hate this because this actually would just be better if you brought ties instead of Jump Masters.
Nah.
Jump Masters do nothing for you here. Oh my god. And no Dengar. Why no? Oh my. Like you're gonna bring all these Jump Masters and not give them fucking counter 1 with a swarm.
Nope.
How much is Dengar? I gotta check.
20 points.
Okay.
But
Deserves
the Jump Masters are overcosted too. They should be like 9 points, 10 points.
Intel's good though. 12 points isn't that expensive. It isn't that expensive.
They're costed for when Intel gave you heavy.
Whatever. But 12 points isn't that bad. Dengar though could come down. He
12 points is that bad. They have 2 anti-squadron.
You only need one of them. One squad that's 12 points. You don't be like Bernie here. Bernie, you are a great example of how not to build a squad in this list.
There are worse things.
Technically that's true. Yes.
All right. All right. I have seen the error of my ways.
Oh, now you're trying to convince me that you're reformed and you're not trying to concoct some other horseshit fucking fleet. I don't believe you.
Nope, I made it worse.
Okay, you got Dengar.
Okay, Dengar. And Sienna, oh my god. Sienna, TIE Fighter. All right, Dengar, 4 jump masters. Do you even have this many jump masters, Bernie? 5?
Sadly, I do.
Here. You already have obstruction from Stronghold. What is Sienna doing? Are you
fair
going
enough.
for the double obstruction?
Okay.
It should be Valen. It should be Valen.
Okay. All right.
Like Valen and another tie or something.
All right. Who else can we do? Nope, that's too much.
Whisper?
No, not Whisper. It doesn't synergize.
Oh, right. It doesn't have Swarm.
Woo. All right.
Okay. Saber Squadron, Valen, Howl Runner, 4 jump masters, and Dengar. All right.
All right, we got something.
The Dengar with 4 jump masters is the most obnoxious shit I've ever seen.
With 2 Quasars.
With 2 Quasars. Oh my fucking god.
You lost the odd squads, but I guess it's okay to get Dengar in there.
But I mean, unironically, if you get both those Quasars on like an ISD, you strip its tokens, and then the Gladiator one comes up with demo and just completely evaporates that ISD, you're probably in a good spot.
Yeah.
Just get them there. Those glassy Quasars. I mean, you can't stop both of them. Probably. Maybe.
I mean, you can stop both of them for sure. I mean, fucking
don't take the wind out of my sails.
I mean, if you're sailing with 2 Quasars, there's not much wind to begin with.
I have won the internet. You cannot tell me otherwise.
That was fun, but also I'm pretty hungry, so I think I'm gonna drop in.
Yeah, let's
all right.
Stop whatever this is.
See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.